In previous videos, we looked at the end of slavery in Haiti, but now we're going to take it the next step, independence for Haiti. July 1801, Louverture issues a new constitution, and it's got some good and bad parts to it. On the upside, slavery is abolished officially, never again, and this is the first nation to actually do that, and the first nation to say never again to slavery. Also great in that they say all citizens have equal rights, so major steps forward. On the downside, he outlaws Vodou, which is the majority religion of people in Haiti. Catholicism is made the state religion. It could have been that Toussaint was Catholic or that he was trying to calm down the French, but overall it's not a popular decision. He also makes himself governor for life, as he is kind of the head leader, and he wants to stay that way, and so he wants to push for democracy, but not too much democracy if he's making himself governor for life. And so here we have kind of this picture of him presenting his new fancy constitution with approval from the Catholic Church, approval from the people, and bowing down to him, and even approval from God for this new constitution. So very presumptuous. He does all this without asking actual permission from France. And so he's doing everything except for actually declaring independence. So he doesn't declare independence, but he does declare that all people in Saint-Domingue are officially French citizens, kind of going against Napoleon's ideas. Saint-Domingue remains a colony of France, but he wants special status. So that means colonial autonomy, and that they get to run their own affairs, they get to do everything for themselves and have their own laws and all that. But they want special trade status and military protection from France. So they want to be protected by France, but not necessarily ruled by France. Louverture sends his constitution out to France, but he puts it into effect without their approval. So he's pretty much telling them this is the way it is without asking them. What was his economic policies? He needs to make money in order for a country really to continue. And he's got big plans, so he needs that money. And the main way to make money in Haiti is to get people back on the plantations making more sugar. So he wants to bring that back, but not slavery. And so it's not going to be such an easy thing to do. He wants to rebuild the economy by producing goods for export to sell to other countries. All land will remain in big old plantations and large estates because it's much more efficient to have giant farms as opposed to small family farms. You can get more work with less people. And so this prevents most citizens from actually owning their own land. The big landowners will still be the rich white guys or the affranchis. And so all people will now be required to work the farms, but they will be paid as workers. And so they're not going to make as much money because slavery's out, but the workers are still required to work. How is he going to do that? He's going to have the army enforce this. And so if anybody that doesn't want to work just goes on strike, the army will be brought in to enforce that. And they will use violence to make sure that everyone's working. The white planters are invited back because they have good business connections, they know how to run a plantation, but it's not going to be popular with the former slaves. We also start to get rumors that Louverture wants to bring in more slaves to increase the labor force, because keep in mind, 1/3 of all slaves died in the revolution. And so there's rumors that he's building ships to bring more slaves in. And that's not true. Actually, his plan was to build a navy to end slavery everywhere. This is why he needs his money. So he's got big plans, but he needs money to do that. People are not too happy with this. They see these laws as just a return to slavery. It's slavery light. Most of the former slaves believed that freedom meant freedom, the right to go out and do whatever you want, to own your own farm your own land, and not be ruled by another person. Now whites, mulattoes, and rebel leaders are owning the land, and they're forcing the people to work it. And so a lot of the former slaves start to resist, and they don't like Louverture's rule. They run away from the plantations up to the mountains to start their own farms. And so here's some of the examples of the mountain farms, these terraced farms or steppe farms. They ignore mandatory work laws to work on their own personal gardens and become kind of runaways in their own way. More maroon communities start to pop up. October 1801, farm workers start to full-on rebel in the north. They call for land distribution, taking land from the rich and giving it out to all the former slaves so they can truly be free and not be ruled by another. Louverture is accused of exploiting the workers for the benefit of France. And they even start to call for the extermination of all whites, and they kill 300 in the process. They even start to call for complete independence of France. rebellion is completely crushed by Louverture. He says, nope, hey, we need money, you gotta work these farms, it's not gonna work otherwise. And it doesn't really calm the people down. Dissatisfaction of the masses continues to grow. Napoleon's not too happy with this guy because it's a major power grab, and Louverture is completely controlling the island on his own. The new constitution calls for everything except for independence, and there's no mention of allowing a French representative in the Saint-Domingue government. So they want all the benefits of being a colony without actually giving any power to France. So as you see, Napoleon is not impressed. French politicians discuss maybe they should bring back slavery to make money, because Napoleon's looking at really expanding his empire and he needs money to run his army. And if that means bringing back slavery, they're going to try it out. So they tried it out on a small scale by bringing back slavery to the small islands of Martinique and Tobago. But if they start there, they might expand to Haiti next. And so Napoleon sends off the Saint-Domingue expedition. He sends 30,000 troops to invade and retake the colony. This is the largest overseas French force up to this point, bigger than the American Revolution or any other French military exercise. Napoleon doesn't go himself because he's kind of busy running France, and so General Charles Leclerc is given command with very strict instructions. So this is his brother-in-law. His job is to capture the leaders, so capture Toussaint, disarm the masses, make sure nobody has guns, and bring back the plantation system. So kind of what Toussaint was already doing, but getting rid of Toussaint. Napoleon wants to be in charge and get rid of Toussaint, who is taking over too much. Napoleon figures this is going to be an easy job. This campaign will be over in 3 months because they've got a massive force. This is the first time France is actually invading Haiti. Before, France was busy dealing with the French Revolution, and it was the colonial government. Now France is actually showing up to take over the island. They figure it's going to be pretty easy to do. And so let's see how well Leclerc does. February 1802, the French troops arrived to capture the South in a few weeks. So the South is taken pretty easily. The South was always not too happy with Louverture anyways, and it's got a lot more white rule and mulatto rule. So they'd be a lot happier getting rid of Louverture anyways. Many of the people of Saint-Domingue see themselves as French citizens, and they don't like and they're alienated by Louverture's rule. Half of Louverture's army goes away from him. They rebel against Louverture himself, and they join the French because they have loyalty to France over Louverture. Most believe that France would keep its commitment to abolition and get rid of slavery anyways and make sure that slavery doesn't come back. And they felt that Louverture was kind of bringing his own slavery, and they really weren't looking at Napoleon's plan. Many of Louverture's best officers, they rebel against him. They join the French. France repairs its relationship with the US and the UK. It's a time of peace for France, so they can concentrate on this war. Both countries, the US and the UK, they support France against Saint-Domingue, fearing the spread of slave revolt, because hey, if this slave rebellion continues, the UK would lose slavery in Jamaica, the US would lose slavery throughout the South. So everybody has turned against Louverture, his own army, his own workers. Nobody likes Louverture anymore. We get a couple little battles here. Battle of Snake Gully, Ravine aux Louviers. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. February of 1802, Toussaint versus French General Rochambeau. Not the same Rochambeau from the Revolution, it's actually his son. Toussaint slows the French advance to the city of Gonaives, and so the French are invading through here. He slows them to Gonaives, allowing his forces to torch the city before the French can come in. So Toussaint's strategy is burn everything, leave nothing for the French. And we get a lot of guerrilla warfare because that's really what he's good at. He's not great at when it comes to facing the enemy in battle. He just doesn't have the resources to do that. But he's very good at jungle warfare. And so we'll get guerrilla warfare in small ravines surrounded by jungle. However, it's a French victory, but they lose the city. And so they gain the territory, but there's not much left. Battle of Crête-à-Pierre, March of 1802, and 1 month later. So going from Gonaives on to kind of near St. Mark. It's a French attack on a Haitian fort. Dessalines, one of his top generals, Louverture's top generals, abandons the fort after a long siege, leaving him with very few supplies. And so they run to the mountains to continue guerrilla warfare. The female soldier, Marie-Jeanne Lamartinière, gains fame for her courage in defending the fort before ultimately they have to give it up. So we get a kind of a female military ruler here. Ultimately, Leclerc takes the fort, but he loses twice the number of soldiers. So as this war progresses, the French are losing soldiers but gaining territory, and that's not really good for the long-term strategy. If you run out of troops but have all the land, eventually it's going to turn against you. Because nobody likes Louverture and he's losing all his cities, Louverture agrees to negotiate with Leclerc. May 1802, Louverture retires. He returns to his family home in the countryside. He will fight no more. Dessalines switches sides to the French. The French pretty much have control. In June 1802, Leclerc breaks the deal. And so at this point, France has won. Leclerc breaks the deal, however, allowing Louverture just to retire. Instead, they capture Louverture, they arrest him in his house, they throw him on a boat, and they send him to a prison in the French mountainside, where he dies. And so Toussaint Louverture says, "In overthrowing me, you have done no more than cut down the tree trunk of black liberty in Saint-Domingue. It'll spring back from the roots, for they are numerous and deep. So by killing me, this is not over." And so here we have him kind of dying in this prison cell, likely of disease and abuse. And so we'll stop there.